Welcome to our first.
Your phone, I think your,
No, my volume. Dead. It's off.
Is your microphone on the computer?
Be off.
You can do it right in Zoom. Your mic is off.
Yeah,
you're
it's off.
good. You should be good.
It's off. All right. So I thought I'd.
Somebody else was.
Yeah, it's not me. This is not one of the mistakes I practiced. Should we try this again? Here we go. That's better. No, it's not. Better? All right. So welcome. This is our first board meeting post-graduation. Everyone, please join us for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
So our first ad-libbed mistake is out of the way. I did practice a few more. So any mistakes that I make at the microphone were practiced well. So I'd like that feedback at the end of the meeting. Mrs. Stern is not able to join us. She is returning from a well-earned vacation. We have a relatively light but still important agenda tonight. We will start with the roll call. Mrs. Sugars, would you please take the roll?
Mrs. Scherfing,
Here.
Mrs. Gallagher,
Here.
Mr. Greenbaum,
Here.
Mr. Mayor,
Here.
Dr. Rude,
Here.
Mrs. Niaz,
Here.
Mrs. Tong, Mrs. Winters,
Here.
Ms. Stern.
All right. We move on to board recognition. There is no board recognition this evening. There are no presentations this evening, nor are there any administrative reports. So we'll move right into correspondence. Any board members wish to share correspondence from the last couple of weeks? Mrs. Gallagher.
Since I wasn't at the last meeting, I wanted to mention that I went to Barton's Wellness Day back in beginning of June. It was a really nice morning. I guess it was a full day of activities they had for students. They had me and Mrs. Kizzy went on the mindfulness walk around the school, and they had students engage in a lot of different practices to kind of like reduce stress, just to be mindful. And some of the techniques I thought were really creative, like with breathing. They're like blow bubbles, like that's how you should breathe when you're stressed. And I was like, oh, that's a really nice way to think about it. I never think about, when you're breathing and you're stressed out. And so it was just a really nice time. She showed me the Title I room that they have for the students there. It's really nice and it's quiet. And I know that they have a lot of students that they support in that room. And it was just a really nice morning to walk around Barton. I'd never been before. So thank you.
Any other board correspondence? Mr. Greenbaum.
Thank you. Last weekend, I attended the Cherry Hill Juneteenth celebration along with Mr. Mayor, Mrs. Winters, our board rep from East, Salam, Mr. Redfern, and of course, Dr. Morton, who's the Grand Marshal. It was a wonderful celebration of freedom and the diversity of our community. And despite the heat, was a fun and enjoyable event. So thank you to everyone who came out, both to celebrate and to support it.
Any additional correspondence? Mrs. Winters.
The biggest one we should mention is graduation. Several board members were present at graduation for both high schools, East and West, at the Leah Core Center. It was a beautiful day. Seeing all the kids graduate. My favorite part was that Mr. Greenbaum somehow got pictures of them all throwing their hats in the air. He captured that moment for us, which was really, really neat. But graduation is one of those days that makes it absolutely worth it to be on the board. It's the culmination for those kids of all the hard work they've put in. No matter what comes next, it's a moment to celebrate exactly where they are on that day with their friends and their family. And I'm just really honored that we get to be part of it with them and celebrate. Congratulations to the board members who had graduating seniors. Mr. Mayor, Ms. Tong. It's everybody this year, right? 2 graduating seniors. Excellent.
Any additional correspondence? All right, then I will follow up with that. Graduation was spectacular. I'll focus though on the student speakers. Every student that got up and spoke from High School East or High School West was just outstanding. In their presence, in their message, in their confidence. And it's just another reminder of how well they and their classmates are going to move forward after they graduate. It was inspiring to hear, and it's one of the highlights, I think, of graduation. I know how nervous a couple of them claimed to have been beforehand, but they all really showed themselves to be so incredibly well composed and great speakers, great thoughts, and hopefully they left their classmates with some good lines to come home with. Juneteenth celebration also it was a wonderful celebration. I wasn't as happy with the heat as Mr. Greenbaum says. It was might have had a little more fun if it wasn't 95 degrees. But it was a wonderful celebration. It was great to see so many people from the community come out to support Juneteenth and celebration. Was wonderful to share in the pride that the community has, and the community has also specifically for Dr. Morton and his new role. It's another one of the highlights that I'm glad to be able to participate in annually, and look forward to it again next year. The only other thing I'll add is clapouts were also last week for graduating seniors visited they visited their elementary schools, and they were clapped out by the elementary students. And I was able to attend at Russell Knight with my daughter, and it's great to see the younger kids, how happy they are and excited to see the seniors walking through their halls in their caps and gowns, and knowing that's going to be them in far fewer years than they can possibly imagine. It's a wonderful tradition. Parents that I've talked to that did not go to these schools, they rave about it. They ask, why don't we do that? Why doesn't our district do that? It's just a great way to bond the younger kids and the older kids, and all smiles. And teachers love it as well. They love seeing their seniors come back and just pass that joy on to the younger kids. So that's it. All right, so that closes communication. We are happy tonight to welcome our three that are here with us tonight, new student representatives from both High School West and High School East. From High School West, Rebecca and Jenna. From High School East tonight, we have Salam. So first of all, welcome. Your schools, chose you wisely to represent them, to represent their interests, and to speak on their behalf at the board. We look forward to that. You've probably often heard that you have big shoes to fill, given who you are following. I don't look at it that way, and I hope you don't, because you only fill those big shoes if you intend to walk in their path, and you have your own paths to walk. So with that, welcome. This is now your first opportunity to provide a report from your schools. I don't know how you selected between yourselves, East and West, who was going to go first. We're going to leave that to your democratic process, and whoever grabs the mic first, welcome, and we'll start your reports.
Hello. Okay, so in regards to academics, June 10th was the last day of finals, and then the school year officially concluded with makeup finals ending on Friday, June 14th, which is also the day of graduation for the seniors at the Lycora Center at Temple. In addition, current East students and rising East freshmen have the opportunity to change their tentative 2024-2025 school year schedules by this Sunday through completing a Google form emailed to all East students and parents. In regards to activities, the students who took physics this academic year were able to go on a field trip to Six Flags on June 4th. I went, it was a lot of fun. But the last few weeks of school definitely revolved around the senior class. There was the senior sunset on East Track on June 3rd, where seniors got to get their yearbooks signed and spend some time together. It was a full circle moment as seniors had like the senior sunrise in the beginning of the year. In addition, there was a senior skate night on June 5th. East students also got to participate in senior clapouts, as was mentioned on the elementary schools, in which seniors got to go to their elementary schools and get applauded by their teachers, some of their former teachers and elementary school students. Finally, 82% of East senior class of 2024 attended project graduation, in which recently graduated seniors spent the whole night at East, so that was 10 p.m. to 5 a.m. And had a lot of fun in a safe environment. They got to have characters made of them, do karaoke, play games. It's a lot of food, and just say goodbye to their classmates. So special thanks to the PTA for organizing that night. In regards to the arts, the Thespian Society inductions occurred on June 4th. Congratulations to all the inductees. On June 6th, senior solo night occurred, in which seniors performed at their last concert at East. I also want to shout out East senior Aviv Haraz for recently winning the 2024 Paper Mill Playhouse Rising Star Award for Best Supporting Actor in a Male Identified Role in the state of New Jersey for his role as Damian Hubbard in East's recent production of Mean Girls. In regards to athletics, many of our sports teams are continuing to practice as the summer starts. East football team also announced that rising senior Jackson Bowman has committed to play for the University of Delaware, and he will be the first East football player to play Division I football since 2003. So that's congrats to him. That's pretty great. And then finally, in the community, the Cherry Hill African American Civic Association's annual Juneteenth Parade and Festival was this past Saturday, the 22nd. I got to go and represent East African American Culture Club along with our outgoing president, Sierra. It was a great event, and it was wonderful to see so many board members there and walk with you all in the parade. Thanks.
Thank you, Salam. So we'll shift over to High School West.
Awesome. So for academics, the last day of finals also took place on June 10th, followed by several makeup testing days. And for any students who had missed finals, grades and transcripts were also finalized around that time. Also, summer reading kicked off for many students when classes finished so that they could prepare for the upcoming school year.
As far as athletics, on June 5th, the West volleyball team became state champions, winning against South Brunswick after an incredible 2-0 game against Northern Burlington on June 3rd. The West volleyball team is also being recognized by Town Council tonight for their amazing achievement. West baseball ended their season after a game with Delsey on May 31st. Brooklyn Ezekiel and Noah Casa both competed at the Meet of Champions on June 12th at Pennsauken High School. Brooklyn placed 17th and Noah placed 13th in the 110-meter hurdles, as well as 16th in the 400-meter hurdles. Brooklyn also competed at New Balance Nationals, which took place at the University of Penn Stadium on June 15th. She placed 7th in the nation in the freshman division of the triple jump.
As for arts, on May 29th, the spring instrumental concert took place with performances from wind ensemble, orchestra, jazz ensemble, and more. Senior solo night for students in the West music programs also took place on June 6th, showcasing a variety of talent as a way for the seniors to bid farewell to their high school experience. Some of the West art students also took their artwork to the State Teen Arts Festival on June 6th, which was awesome.
Extracurriculars. Junior ROTC Awards Night took place in the West Theater, recognizing a number of our wonderful cadets for all the work they do.
As for other notes, on May 30th, West seniors and friends had an incredible time at the senior prom. On June 14th, project graduation took place for the graduating seniors. On that same day prior to that, the West seniors graduated. And on the 22nd, West and district staff and students walked in the Cherry Hill Township Juneteenth celebration. That's all.
Thank you, Rebecca and Jenna. And Salam. You are now officially all veterans, and we will hear from you again in a couple of weeks. We now move on to first public comment. There are 2 opportunities this evening for public comment. First public comment session is for board action items only. Those are items 13 through 16 on the agenda. There will be another public comment section for any topic at the end of the meeting. If you're a student in the district, you may comment on any agenda item during this first public comment period, but please identify yourself as a student. If you're online, put an S on your name so we can tell that you're a student. If you would like to speak now, please identify the agenda item and clearly state your name and municipality. We'll alternate between speakers here in the room and those that are online. Each speaker will be given a maximum of 3 minutes to speak. The timer on the screen will indicate the amount of time you have remaining. Public comment is an opportunity for members of the community to comment on matters relevant to the operations of the Cherry Hill Public School District or within the authority of the Cherry Hill Board of Education. The board welcomes diverse opinions on relevant matters. Under established federal law governing reasonable restrictions on speech in public forums, statements which demean individual community members or groups or which are irrelevant to the operations of the school district or repetitious will not be permitted. Community members who would like to present information not relevant to the school district are always welcome to communicate directly to the district superintendent, to the board president, and all board members via email or alternative means. That said, we will commence our public comment. Normally, we start in the room. If you are prepared and ready to the room, if you would kindly take to the microphone, identify your name, municipality, and the agenda item that you're speaking on, please.
Hi, I'm Carolyn Messias, Cherry Hill, New Jersey. Good evening. I'm here to speak on agenda item 15.7 in support of the appointment of Carol Roskov as supervisor of special projects. I have known Carol for over 20 years. We met when we both began teaching at West. She is much more than a colleague to me. She is friend and someone I consider family. I don't know anyone who is more invested in this school district and this community. Her love for her students, their families, and the staff is extraordinary. To say that I was sad to hear that she would no longer be at West is an understatement. For me personally, she has helped me to create an outstanding theater program at West that allows students to be themselves and mature into confident and creative individuals. I have learned from Carol that in order to get things done and be successful, it takes more than hard work and dedication. It takes time, effort, and sometimes failing in order to succeed. When Carol and I first started, we were both teaching in the IB International Baccalaureate program. Her knowledge and insight into literature not only allowed her students to become better thinkers, but also helped them to develop skills that they could take into college and into the world. For the next 20 plus years, she continued to make those connections. Despite her sometimes no-nonsense exterior, she has a heart of gold. Her generosity and love for her students and their families and her colleagues, her friends, and of course her mom and her son are immeasurable. I know that whatever this new job entails, she will approach it as she has with every challenge and task she is given. She will get the job done. There is no stopping Carol Roskov. Thank you.
Thank you. So we're going to go next to the line. I'll just remind anyone, if you are a student, put an S in front of your name. I do not see any students online. I do believe, however, first up is Dr. Podowitz, number 788. So if you would, you are next up. Name and municipality.
My name is Jeff Podowitz, and I live in Cherry Hill, New Jersey. 16.2.
Just hold off for a second. We're having an audio issue in the room. We'll reset the timer for you.
Okay, thank you. Tell me when.
I will. Hold on.
Okay.
All right, you're good. Let's just wait and reset our timer and then we'll go.
Okay. Tell me when. Just tell me when, okay?
I will.
Okay.
All right, Dr. Potter, you are good to go.
Okay, 16.2, student use of wireless communication devices. I would say vote no on that now and then make some modifications. A lot of times students, especially those that are bullied, use their phones as a protection so they can talk to someone right away when there's a problem. And a lot of times that problem actually happens during lunch. Lunch has a very high degree of bullying during lunch. My kid was, I'll tell you that right now. So if you go to number 3, and please read this, 16.2, all right, it says that students are prohibited from using wireless communications, blah, 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 during lunch, okay. Students may use wireless communications during lunch, recess, between classes, while on school buses, or during co-curricular activities, unless the school's principal elects to prohibit such use during lunch. And then it goes on to that co-curriculum. No, that part, and I don't agree with a lot of things in this new policy, that has to be left out unless the school's principal elects to prohibit such use during lunch. It leaves it up to the individual principal. No. It negates that the student can use it during lunch. A principal will always could always, I don't want you to use it today. I don't want you to use it during lunch. And that kid who's been bullied is stuck. That phone is protection in the school district itself. That phone, I mean, especially if a child is being bullied, that phone is definitely protection during lunch. You have to remove that. You can't leave that up to an individual principal. That has to stay in this policy. And to vote for this policy, I believe you'd be hurting the very kids that you claim maybe would be helped. Kids get bullied all the time. That's especially during lunch. Principal can't do it. Principal, it can't be done at the principal's discretion. That kid can use it during lunch. Thank you very much for listening. Please vote no, because it's as written, on 16.2. Please do that. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Potowitz. We will return to the room. Seeing only lifelong learners, but no actual students, we will move ahead. Name and municipality.
Rick Short, Cherry Hill. I'm speaking about 13.1. It has to do with the teacher training. I would ask you to not be a part of the teacher training, especially the ones that have to do with Rowan College, because somehow or another, Rowan is also associated with Dr. Bettina Love. She was basically a part of the program at Rowan College. So it's called, in the thing, it's called Rowan University Empowerment Education. So we have all these teachers taking this more education about cultural proficiency, but our math grades at East and West keep falling. So why do we keep sending all these teachers to all these events about cultural proficiency when our math scores keep falling at East and West? It just doesn't seem to make any sense. And what makes it worse is that Dr. Bettina Love is associated with Rowan College's cultural proficiency, which is just absurd. So you're sending our teachers, to talk to Dr. Love. I mean, I can't believe it. And we already know from emails and from Facebook posts that you're working with Dr. Love in Cherry Hill West, who's an extreme radical nut, and you've normalized it. I mean, she's like communist. She hates America. She wants to totally redo America. Yeah, that's what we want to do, right? These are the consultants we're working with. It's unbelievable. Continuing on, in section 15.7, we have all these teachers. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. More culture proficiency at $36.66 an hour. Again, Can we do any more culture proficiency in our schools? As grades fall at East and West for math, and you do absolutely nothing in your teacher training to improve teachers how to teach math, but all you do is spend time on culture proficiency. So what's going to happen? Grades are going to keep falling, and people are going to wonder, well, why are the grades keep falling? Well, because all our teachers do is study culture proficiency. Please vote no.
Thank you, Mr. Short. We will return to the line, and the next hand up is Jessica Fingerman.
Hi, Jessica Fingerman, Cherry Hill, New Jersey. Commenting on 16.2, the cell phone policy. Wanted to say, and I apologize, I don't have any prepared remarks, but I wanted to say that I highly encourage the Board of Education to pass this policy and also to empower our school administrators, our teachers to have the support that they need to enforce this policy to its fullest extent. As a parent and an educator, I've seen how damaging these devices are to our students, notwithstanding those students with 504 plans or IEPs who require assistive technology, which I know that your policy outlines exceptions for that, which is great. Assistive technology can be a wonderful resource. However, for many of our students, it's the equivalent of us back in the 90s or the 80s, bringing in our TV, our walkie-talkies, and all of our friends and neighbors and every encyclopedia you can imagine. It's just the temptation is too great. Telling students to just put it in their pocket, it's not a reasonable request for many of our students. They can't help but check, and then they're distracted. And I wouldn't be surprised if it contributes to reduction in their ability to perform well in school. I also think it is a reduction in their ability to relate to their peers. So I highly encourage a strict cell phone policy, and I hope that that's in place for my children. Thank you so very much. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Mrs. Fingerman. Returning to the room. I will use Mrs. Stern's line. You know the drill.
I think. Ann Einhorn, Cherry Hill. First of all, I'd like to congratulate Brett Rosen. I see he's on your agenda tonight. I don't know the item number. I have known Brett all of his life. He and my son, Willie, whose ages I won't disclose because that'll really show you how old I am. But I'm glad to see that Brett is still working for the district. It's been a wonderful opportunity. I'd also like to congratulate Carol Roscoff, 15.7. I won't tell you how long I've known her too, because sometimes I do feel like a dinosaur in this district, but I know that she is definitely up for the challenge, and I echo everything Ms. Messiah said. I would like to discuss 15.12, the contract renewal for Dr. Farah Mahan. I am very confused about this. I thought a couple of meetings ago she was appointed the assistant superintendent for pre-K only, and now I see she has double duty pre-K. I'm sorry. Yeah, pre-K. Kindergarten through 12. And quite frankly, I thought that was overwhelming for her last year, since the bulk of her time needed to be spent on pre-K. And as you expand pre-K, I don't know how you can expect one person to do all those jobs. Absolutely no reflection on Dr. Mahan. I've also known her since she was young whippersnapper as a teacher at Barton. But quite frankly, that is way too much responsibility from one person, in the sense that her time is valuable too. And not just her time as a business person here, but her mental time. So someone needs to explain to me how one person can be expected to do a dual role again. Thank you.
Looking online, thank you, Ms. Einhorn. Looking online, there are no hands raised. Anyone else in the room wishes to approach the podium, the free microphone with no podium?
Jim Neary, Cherry Hill. At 16.2, actually, I'm going to echo the sentiments of Dr. Podowitz, where it comes to the one line that I take objection to in the policy is with where the principal has final discretion. If we are going to rewrite a policy as a district, why are we farming it out to the franchises again? If we're going to own the policy and make a policy, do not give willy-nilly, ad hoc to create discrepancy from school to school. This can create discrepancies and disparities in discipline throughout your schools. It can create all sorts of issues where things will not be the same. It will not be uniform. One principal may do one thing, one may do the other. You may see an increased spike in discipline in one school. You may have a lot of inadvertent consequences by leaving that one little line in the policy and giving basically the additional authority down to the principal level. If you as a board are going to insist on rewriting a policy, then own the policy, write the policy, make the rules, and have them enforce it. Don't throw it back to the building level, because when that creates disparity, people are going to come back to you. Please make it uniform. Do not franchise out our 18 different schools. That hasn't worked in the past. It needs to be the same at all levels. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Neary. Still no hands online. Anyone else in the room wish to make a public comment? This is your big moment. And it's gone. All right, that's the end of public comment one. Thank you for those who took time to comment in the first public comment. We are moving along now to superintendent's comments. Dr. Morton.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. A little loud today, so I'll step back just a bit. Anyway, the end of this school year was absolutely amazing. It was fantastic. I thoroughly enjoyed all of the various culminating activities, celebrations, field days, and especially loved all of the moving up and graduation ceremonies from the earliest of our learners up to our high school students as well. There's something special about high school graduations, and both of those ceremonies were truly outstanding. Did enjoy quite a bit cultural celebrations that have occurred as well. Juneteenth was phenomenal. I was honored to have the opportunity to serve as the Grand Marshal in this year's parade and festivities. I've been at every one that's been held this year, but it was a bit different to ride in the car instead of walking along the parade route. And, as we think about culture and what culture is, you think about the values and beliefs and norms that groups have. It's important for us that each culturally diverse group in our town and our district has a sense of belonging, and that they definitely have a place. It's very important for us. It's part of our identity and who we are. And with that, I say, happy Pride Month. As Pride Month comes to a close for all of those who are celebrating, again, it's important that we recognize those within our community, that everyone within our community has a sense of pride, a sense of belonging, and a place. As we move into the summer, clearly the heat is upon us, and summer is definitely here. I encourage our students to continue to learn over the summer, take advantage of opportunities that present themselves. There are learning opportunities that the district offers that are being offered to township level as well. Encourage you to reach out to our district website or reach out for more information if that is needed. Summer is also a time where the confines and the structures of school are not present. So, I always like to encourage and like for families and children just to think about safety, as it relates to the summer. So very important, whether it be spending time on the beach or just going to the pool for a swim, just think safety first. It's definitely important for us. As we also move into the summer, our correspondence from the district will move from a weekly newsletter to a bi-weekly newsletter, but I encourage you to stay connected as well as we move forward throughout the summer. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
With respect to that car that you rode in, I understand it was not air conditioned.
It's not.
So it says a lot. You could still speak about enjoying the car ride with a smile, and no, it was a great day. It was a great event. We are on to our action agenda. First up, curriculum and instruction. Mrs. Winters, would you please do the honors?
Certainly. Superintendent recommends, and I move the following. 13.1, approval of attendance at conferences and workshops for the 24-25 school year. 13.2, approval of out-of-district student placement for 23-24 school year. 13.3, approval of out-of-district student placements for the 24-25 school year. 13.4, approval of submission of NJ CAP grant program for the 24-25 school year. 13.5, approval of professional service agreements for the 24-25 school year. 13.6, resolution authorizing acceptance of the school climate change grant funds. 13.7, approval of evaluation models for 24-25 school year. And 13.8, approval of NJ DOE 2024 to 2027 Language Instructional Program LIEP 3-year plan. Do I have a second? Ms. Sherfain, does anyone have any questions about any of the items on the CNI agenda tonight? I'm happy to answer them. No takers this evening? I must have done a good job then. Seeing none. Ms. Sugars, can you please open the voting for this evening?
Board members, you may cast your votes.
Ms. Sugars, I'd like to recuse myself from 13.5 and abstain from 13.8. The rest is yes.
I vote yes.
Okay, other than Mrs. Shervain's recusal on 13.5 and abstention on 13.8, all other board members voted yes and motion carries.
We move on to business and facilities. Mr. Greenbaum, all yours.
Thank you. The superintendent recommends, and I move the following. 14.1, approval of minutes, board work session, special action meeting minutes, and executive session minutes dated May 14th, 2024. Approval of minute, 14.2, approval of minutes, regular meeting minutes, and executive session minutes dated May 28th, 2024. 14.3, financial reports. 14.4, resolution for Perkins funds. 14.5, resolution for the award of bids. 14.6, resolution for the award of transportation. 14.7, resolution to join the New Jersey Schools Insurance Group, BACCEIC, 2024-2027. 14.8, resolution approving a services agreement between the board and Kroll Associates, Inc. for the provision of enterprise detection and response. 14.9, a resolution approving services agreement between the board and Schoolytics, Inc. for the provision of data processing service. 14.10, resolution for the award of contract renewals. 14.11, resolution approving vended meals contract between Yale School and Cherry Hill Board of Education. 14.12, resolution for the cancellation of outstanding checks. 14.13, acceptance of donations, which I always like to read through. I have a donation from Nicole and Matthew Schwartz for Project Invent Club trip to New York City at Beck. We have a donation from Beck PTA to be used for the 24-25 field trips. From the Mark Homan Foundation to be used for photography equipment at High School West. An anonymous donation to be used for financially needy families with middle school meal debt at all 3 of our middle schools. Sustainable Jersey to be used for a sustainable library at Rosa. Cooper PTA to be used for picnic table and supplies at Cooper, and Cooper PTA to be used for a Gaga pit at Cooper. And I think that covers it. Do I have a second? Dr. Rude, any questions? Seeing none, Mrs. Sugars, please open the voting.
Board members, you may cast your votes.
Mrs. Sugars, I'll be recusing myself from 14.3 due to conflict of interest.
I'm sorry, Mrs. Nias, could you say what item again?
14.3.
14.3. Okay, other than Mrs. Nia's recusal on item 14.3, we have a yes vote on all other items. Motion carries.
Moving right along, Human Resources, Mrs. Winters, if you are not too tired after removing the CNI agenda, would you kindly move the HR agenda as well?
I will try. This is the tricky one. Superintendent recommends and I move the following: 15.1, termination of employment certificated; 15.2, termination of employment non-certificated; 15.3, appointments certificated; 15.4, appointments non-certificated; 15.5, leaves of absence certificated; 15.6, leaves of absence non-certificated; 15.7, assignment salary change certificated; 15.8, assignment salary change non-certificated; 15.9, contract renewal certificated, athletic and co-curricular; 15.10, approval of sidebar agreement; 15.11, other compensation certificated; and 15.12, other motions. Do I have a second? Mr. Mayor, does anyone have any questions about anything on the HR agenda at this time? Seeing no questions, going once, going twice on the HR agenda, Ms. Sugars, please open the voting.
Board members, you may cast your votes. Having trouble? We have unanimous yes vote. Motion carries.
With that vote, in item 15.7, officially now approving Carol Roscoff as our new Director of Special Projects. Congratulations. Mrs. Roscoff, here, if you would like to say a few words, please do.
Dr. Morton for your confidence and the board members for your support and your confidence. I'm excited to get started. I'd be remiss if I didn't thank my Cherry Hill West family. I will miss them. I did not expect Carolyn to be here tonight. My heart will be there, but I am excited to take that energy and that commitment to the rest of the district. So thank you.
I'm sure Mrs. Roscoff, knowing your commitment as a teacher, who I've had the pleasure of, dealing with two of our children, knowing what you bring to the school and what you have brought to Cherry Hill West and to this community, and wider role in the community, we are lucky to have you in this new role, and the district will be better for it. Thank you. All right, moving along, we are now up to policy and legislation. I will move that agenda. The superintendent recommends I move the following: item 16.1, approval of harassment, intimidation, bullying investigation decisions. 16.2, second reading of policy, that is the cell phone policy. 16.3, approval of the revised 2024-2025 school calendar. That's it. Do I have a second? Mrs. Nias. Are there any questions? Mrs. Winters.
Not a question so much as I just want to thank the other members of the PNL committee for collaborating on the cell phone policy. I think it was something that we worked really hard on as a committee this year, and I think it's going to make an immeasurable difference for our students. So thank you, Mr. Mayor, for leading us. Thank you to the other members of PNL and to the rest of the board who contributed to this policy. I think it's a positive one for change for our students. I think it might be a rough landing in September, just to be realistic about it. I know I'm usually the board optimist, but I think change takes a time to get used to, but I think ultimately it'll be beneficial for our students and teachers.
I'm confident it will. Thank you. All right, seeing no more questions, Mrs. Sugars, would you please open the voting?
Board members, you may cast your votes.
Mrs. Sugars, I need to abstain on 16.1.
Mrs. Sugars, I also have to abstain from 16.1. I was not here.
So, Mrs. Sugars, my technology is still not playing nice, so please record my vote as yes to all three items.
Okay, so we have 2 abstentions on 16.1 from Mrs. Gallagher and Dr. Rude. Otherwise, all board members voted yes, and we have a motion carries.
Strategic planning, no items this evening, given the relatively heavy agenda that strategic planning has over the course of the next several months. That is likely to change sooner than we think. We'll move on now to new business. Any board members have any new business they'd like to bring up or discuss this evening? Seeing none, we move on to old business. Any board members wish to discuss or address any old business matters? Mr. Greenbaum.
Thank you very much. So tonight, I wanted to take a little bit of time to talk about our preschool program. This isn't out of nowhere. This is probably the most frequent topic of questions that I get. And I've been waiting for an evening that had a little bit lighter agenda to talk about it, which fortunately is tonight. I support the program. I think it's the right direction for the district. But a condition of my support for the program has always been that it was financially the right decision to make. So that's the perspective I want to take tonight. I'd like to talk to you a little bit about preschool funding, what it costs, what we get reimbursed for, what the plan is moving forward. The reason I'm bringing it up in old business is none of this information I'm bringing up is new. It's just been presented in so many disparate places in our public board meetings, in different committee meetings, preschool committee. Some was only shared with parents that have kids in the program. So if you'll indulge me for a few minutes, I wanted to go through a stack of papers I have. I promise I'll try to do it quickly. But I wanted to share some of this information because I think there's a lot more transparency than some people believe. And I thought presenting it all at once might be helpful to my fellow board members as well as the community that might be listening. So first off, what is preschool costing? Next year, it's $1.5 million. This was shared on March 19th when we had our presentation on the initial budget submission. It was shared again when we voted on the budget on April 30th. For a little bit more breakdown, we have the user-friendly budget that's posted on the district website. It has the same information. It's broken down a little bit more. On page 3, we see we're getting $6.1 million from the state. On page 6, we see the total cost of the program is going to be $7.6 million. You do some quick math, the difference is $1.5 million. And on page 7, we see 2 transfers from the general fund that total $1.5 million. For anyone who's a glutton for punishment, there's a 148-page version that we submitted to the state. On page 23, it says the exact same thing. Total cost is $7.6 million. We get 6.1 from the state. The difference is 1.5 million. And that difference is almost entirely for transportation costs. Another perspective that I wanted to share, I'd asked Mrs. Sugars if she could provide a comparison between what the prior program cost, which was a half-day program for about 200 students, primarily focusing on our classified students with IEPs, and the preschool expansion program, which now has over 500 students. It's a full-day program. So breaking that out, and this is a worksheet that was provided to all board members on March 19th. We had our budget discussion. I thought it was important for everyone to see this, but the prior half-day program was about $5 million. That's, again, focusing on our classified students. That's inclusive of instruction, support services, transportation, and everything it takes to do that. Moving into next year, the total cost of our preschool program is $6.9 million. excuse me, again, some quick math, the difference is 1.9 million. 1.5 million of that is attributed to, I'm sorry, that 1.9 million is almost entirely transportation. 1.5 is for the gen ed preschool expansion. Something I wanted to talk about briefly about the cost of transportation is it's an ongoing challenge that the district has. It's not specific to preschool. This is something we deal with K through 12. If you look at our state aid every year, transportation aid doesn't remotely cover our cost of transportation, and it doesn't change year to year. It doesn't change with enrollment. It doesn't change with inflation. That's something that the board and the administration have been looking at ways to address. At the preschool level, taking a look at as we continue to expand to more community providers, can we make sure to district families to facilities that are closer to them? So not only don't we have to pay for transportation for those families, but they won't need it. We're also looking at wraparound care. It's something a lot of families need. And if a family needs to drop off early or pick up late, they won't be utilizing transportation. But probably the biggest piece of this is working with our legislators through the Fair Funding Committee to advocate for changes to the funding formula for transportation aid that makes more sense and changes with enrollment, changes with inflation, and is actually tied to actual costs. All right, so something that has come up a lot I want to talk about is how much do we get per pupil from the state and how much does it cost per pupil from the state? If we look in the preschool expansion aid application, you could take a look at that right on the Department of Education's website. On page 7, it has costs of full day programs and it lists it by county. This is how much the state gives us per pupil. In district, it's about 14,000. For community providers, it's 16,000. It's a little less for Head Start because those are federally subsidized. Well, the new application hasn't been published yet. For 24-25 for next year, those amounts all went up significantly. Now we're looking at about 15,000 in district and over 17,000 for community providers. So the big question is, what does it cost, right? We know how much we're getting from the state. Well, it's something that we can also take a look at by using the state funding software to see what we would have to charge tuition for any students coming from out of district. And looking at pre-K, it's about 17,000 per student. You'll notice that's roughly the same cost that we get from the state. The part that isn't covered is transportation. Other than that, the program mostly pays for itself. And as I mentioned, transportation is a challenge at every grade level and something we're continuously trying to work on. A big thing that I want to point out is a lot of people may not be aware of this, is that preschool and K through 12 are separate funding streams. We're getting $6.1 million for preschool. And then, the topic of all our discussions has been K through 12 funding. Our taxes are not going up because of preschool. It's its own funding stream. Any tax increases are because of cuts to equalization aid, which some of it was fortunately restored, and we were able to restore some of our cuts. If we get rid of preschool, this money does not go back to K through 12. We just give up $6.1 million. They are separate funding streams. Preschool is fully funded, other than some issues like such as transportation. I also want to talk about what the plan is. I've heard a lot of comments that do we have a plan? Are we just going full speed ahead without a plan? And the answer is absolutely not. Of course we have a plan. On August 8th, the board voted to submit the preschool education aid application. It is a 33-page application, and a significant part of that is a high-level 5-year strategic plan. And this plan documents how we plan to implement the program, how we plan to staff the program, what our mix between in-district providers and community providers are, and really just a high-level plan that says we know what we're in for. We show that we can launch the program and meet the requirements of the program, and that we're able to do it. Once we applied to the program and got that aid in November, we had to submit a 3-year preschool program operational plan, which the board voted on November 14th. This is a 31-page document that has a much more detailed operational plan over the next 3 years, talking about where we have classrooms, what are the size of those classrooms, what is our split between in-district and community providers, where do we plan to seek new opportunities to grow the program, and how do we plan to grow it over those years. Something else that ties into this is understanding how many more classrooms we're going to build and how many teachers we're going to hire. And the answer is 16. It's the same answer we've had since last year when we applied for ROD grants to build 16 new classrooms. It's going to be eight more at Malberg and 8 at Kilmer. It's the same thing that I report on every month when I do our construction update. It's a total of 16 new classrooms and 16 teachers and 16 educational assistants, potentially more as needed. But that's it, 16 more classrooms. Anything beyond that, unless the state decides to throw a whole lot of money at us, which they don't really do, the rest will be met between community providers, giving us a split of about 1/3 in district and 2/3 out of district. The last thing I wanted to mention is that the board doesn't keep voting yes to do preschool and to continue preschool expansion. That's not really how it works. In April of last year, the board voted to submit the budget, and in that budget, we earmarked funds to meet the requirements of the program. And in August, we voted to submit the preschool expansion aid application with an understanding that if it was accepted, we were committed to the program. And that's it. August of 2023 is the last time when the board voted whether or not to proceed with preschool. Every other agenda item that the board has voted on related to preschool has been to submit documentation to comply with reporting requirements for the state. So when we vote yes on submitting an operational plan, when we vote yes on approving a preschool budget, that's not whether or not we continue with preschool. That's voting to comply with requirements of the program, which has students in it. Next year, it's going to have more than 500 students. So that being said, there are a couple of takeaways I just wanted to wrap up with. You know, there certainly is a plan, both long-term strategic and short-term operational, on how to implement preschool expansion in our districts. Both plans were submitted to the state and approved. The tax levy that unfortunately we had to go through to address the budget cuts really had nothing to do with preschool. Our K through 12 budget equalization aid was cut. Preschool is its own funding stream that can only be used for preschool. If you look up our state funding on the DOE website, that you'll see there are 2 separate funding streams. We can't take one and use it for the other. We get rid of preschool, we just lose $6.1 million and have the exact same budget struggles for K through 12. The cost of the Gen Ed preschool expansion aid to the district, as I said, is $1.5 million. And it actually reduced the cost of inclusion services due to economies of scale. For our students requiring the most support, we saw as much as a 33% reduction in the cost of those services. That certainly wasn't the reason for doing preschool expansion, but it was a nice benefit to see that some of those costs did go down. And again, there have not been any votes since August of 2023 whether or not to proceed with the program. They've simply been for complying with state requirements to continue the program. It's a current program in our district, and these are our students. So I hope that was helpful. This is just a collection of a lot of the questions that I get, it feels like every week. And there's just so many different places to point people to. I thought providing all of this in one shot would be helpful, both to the board and to the public. So thanks for letting me take a few minutes to do that. And I hope this is beneficial.
No, I think it is. I think it's valuable time. Thank you for doing that. I recognize your frustration level as chair of BNF over the last several months in having to field several questions and repeat information, which is there. But I think we've learned a lot also as we begin to understand more about how and where we need to improve with regards to communication through the communication audit. And one was just what you've just done. The information that you've just gone over in the last handful of minutes is out there. It has been out there for a very long time, and it's been clear. But it's not always easy to get, right? It's not easy to access. And so your frustration is shared by sometimes by some of us on the board, and oftentimes by community members who find it difficult to find that information. So taking a handful of minutes to sort of compile it and point to the source documents that are there, I think is valuable time, well spent. And we're going to do more of that in various ways of trying to just do a better job of compiling information, making it easier to access, easier to understand, and be friendlier in communication. Mrs. Sherfain.
Since I didn't know we were going to be talking about this, I do have a question. I don't know if you would know the answer, but I feel like you might because of some of the information you just went over. As a parent of a child in one of the schools that is a potential for the district, I know what the costs of tuition is as a private student in those locations. When you were talking about the cost per pupil at some of the private locations, if their regular tuition costs are higher than what we're allotted for, is it a wash or what happens with that? I don't know if you don't know the answer, I totally understand, but I figured since we're here.
I could answer that, but Mrs. Winters is raising her
Up to
hand.
you.
I'm
I'll
gonna
rock,
let-
paper,
I'm
scissors
gonna
you
let
for
her,
it.
I'll let you elaborate.
So it wouldn't be the same program. So the tuition that you're paying at a site is for the program that site is running. If a private provider site is running a Cherry Hill preschool classroom under preschool expansion, that classroom is running the same exact program that's running at the Malberg building and all the other provider sites. So it's not an apples to apples comparison is the answer. The $17,000 approximately that we get from the state is going to cover what's provided for a Cherry Hill preschooler in a Cherry Hill preschool expansion classroom. And then we have systems in place to ensure that all the classrooms are consistent no matter what the location is. So whether your child attends the Malberg building or one of the provider sites, it's a consistent program, curriculum, student teacher ratio. And there's an evaluation called the Eckers evaluation that ensures consistency among those classrooms. So I wouldn't compare what the private provider provides for their program they are running, like their legacy program, and they may continue to run for, let's say, a twos class in that same building. But if they have classrooms that are designated for Cherry Hill preschool, then that would be under the Cherry Hill preschool program with that curriculum and that the requirements that are given by the state. Does that answer your question?
Thank you. Very well put.
Any other questions for Mr. Greenbaum on that? Is she okay? Mrs. Winters.
I just want to thank you for putting me through the ringer a lot on this. As you know, you are the numbers person for us on the board, and it was really a great collaboration. We sat down a couple times and you asked a lot of really interesting, tough questions and made sure that the fiscal side of it was sound. So while I sit with the operational and the curriculum side of it in the CNI committee, it was really nice to work with you, even though we don't sit on the committees together, to make sure that it made sense both for the students in the classrooms and also budgetarily for the district. So thanks for compiling all the information.
Thanks for saying so. And of course, I'll give a lot of credit to Mrs. Sugars on the financial side and Dr. Mahan for putting the plan together.
Mr. Greenbaum, thank you. Any other old business? Any other board members want to bring up? Mrs. Sherfain.
This I actually completely forgot. It's kind of more new business, but it's old business in the sense that from my understanding, this used to be a thing. I think now that we have this new position of special projects, something that we may want to consider for far in the future, once Ms. Rothkopf gets up and going and potentially bringing a lot of new and exciting things to the district, maybe we can revisit considering having other students from out of district paying tuition to come here and to be a part of some of the programs that we have. I learned that that has not been a thing for a long time. So correct me if I'm wrong by all of this, but seeing what the potential could be on the horizon of things that are being brought to the district or expanded within the district, that maybe that's something that we consider doing moving forward. It would also be an additional funding stream potentially for us. But just the thought to put it out there, kind of old business, more new business. But
Thank you. Yeah, one of any number of projects that I see it. Mrs. Rothkopf is shaking her head yes. So lots on the plate for her already. Any other old business? Seeing none, we'll close old business and we will move to second public comment. This is the second public comment during which time you may speak on any item. If you would like to speak now, please clearly state your name and municipality. We'll alternate again between speakers that are here in the room and those online. Each speaker will be given a maximum of 3 minutes, and the timer will indicate the amount of time you have remaining. Public comment is an opportunity for members of the community to comment on matters relevant to the operations of the Cherry Hill School District or within the authority of the Cherry Hill Board of Education. Board welcomes diverse opinions on relevant matters. Under established federal law governing reasonable restrictions on speech in public forums, statements which demean individual community members or groups or which are relevant to the operations of the district or are repetitious will not be permitted. Community members who would like to present information not relevant to the school district are always welcome to communicate directly to the district superintendent, board president, and all board members by email or other alternative means. So, same drill as public comment 1. If you are in the room, if you are a student, you go first. If you are a lifelong learner and in the room, the microphone is open. We'll start in the room. Anyone have any second public comment? You're welcome to come to the microphone.
Ann Einhorn, Cherry Hill. So a couple of things. The July calendar for the district, there's nothing on it yet. Does that mean you're not having any committee meetings this month coming forth? I am really disturbed about one thing. Thank you, Adam, for presenting that information. And yes, it's available. No one knows where to look for that. So perhaps your presentation tonight could be on the district website somewhere for people to pursue if they would like to, and where the information is located, because that's a real problem, finding information on the website. And it has been helter-skelter if you're sitting in the audience trying to follow the program. My main concern still remains is, what is the 5-year cost? When we're at year 5, what will it cost us in total as compared to today's budget or the next budget? The other thing I'm bothered by is that when a fellow board member asks questions, forgive me, Dr. Morton, but in the past, we've always had the administrator answer the question, not a fellow board member. And it's not the first time it's happened. So I think given the roles in our district, that the administrator should be answering the questions. So I came here, I'm sorry, Ms. Stern is not here technically, to apologize for the last meeting where I was chastised by Ms. Stern and Dr. Morton, rightly so, in information that I had asked or said at the mic. One thing I pride myself on is integrity and honesty. So I extend my sincere apologies for the inaccurate information. But I will say, this all goes into your strategic planning and communication. I was totally unaware that I just have to double click under information that was not there originally. When the agenda was first posted, it was added later on, and I've had quite a few 4 weeks. So I will admit I was not on top of things as I usually am. But I can tell you that communication is indeed still a big problem. Somewhere on this website, while you're trying to figure out communication, you have got to put a page up that says, this is what's happening. Adam's presentation tonight's a fine example of that. Okay. And for the 5th time, where is the Kingston playground going? Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Einhorn. We will go to the room, telephone number, I'm sorry, online telephone number ending 788.
Here we go. My name is Jeff Podowitz, and I live in Cherry Hill, New Jersey. I'm just doing some simple math. We supposedly have 475 students that don't have any disabilities. We divide 1.1 million in by 475, and we get approximately $12,800 a student, which is about the numbers that the state calculated we should get around the year 2010. Okay? I know what those numbers are. 12,800. That's what it averages out to. For Cherry Hill, spending per pupil, for total spending per pupil for year 2021, 2022 was almost $25,000 per pupil. That was on the DOE website. Anyone could see that. Okay? There is no way that the total cost for preschool expansion students would be less than that. No way, because that's what the student in Cherry Hill, the total cost. Now, there are different ways to calculate cost. One is basically only classroom cost, but total cost is more than that. Remember, there are startup costs for preschool, all right? We will have a mixed delivery, private system that the state wants. However, it also increases the influence of our school district leaderships. That is what an article in Political was published a few years ago said. This is going to increase, preschool expansion increases the influence of the school district locally. So how much per pupil are we really paying? All right. Okay. Head Start may be cheaper. However, do you really believe that it's less than $3,000 a student for the school year that we pay directly? Remember, this wraparound preschool this wraparound childcare is going to cost money. What about all the other costs? All right. What about support staff? What about the facilities? What about construction costs, support staff, administrative staff? Remember what you said. We had an assistant superintendent spend all her time one year. What was that counted to? Maybe that was a reason. Maybe she still will spend her all her time, but you can do an accounting now and say she does other things besides preschool. Was that counted? I'm not so sure it was counted that way. All this administrative costs, our child study teams, and costs of testing. How much did business staff pay for this? Costs for equipment, costs for, there's so many costs involved here. That's total cost. And the total cost, believe me, have to be equal to at least $25,000, which is the total cost per pupil. There is no way it isn't. See an itemized, see where they're spending money. A few years, right? That is what is important to look at when you look at preschool. And I know the numbers from back then because I followed it since 2006, 2007. It scared the life out of me. And by the way, do you really believe that the
Thank you, Dr. Potter. Time is up.
Thank you.
Thank you. Returning to the room. I think you know the drill as well.
Rick Short, Cherry Hill. Just some simple math questions for Dr. Morton, Ms. Winters, and Mr. Greenbaum. It's on the record that the goal is 1,700 students. You just said, so that leaves us 1,200 students to do. If you take 1,200 divided by 15 per classroom, that's 80 classrooms we need. 80 classrooms times $695,000, which is on the record on video. Total cost per building, if we can't find outsource, is around 55 million. So where are we going to come up with 55 million on top of whatever Dr. Potowicz just pointed out, on top of everything else for all the building new buildings?
Mr. Greenbaum.
All right.
Mr. Greenbaum. No, let Mr. Short speak.
Again. Now on to a quote from the Inquirer. What keeps you up at night? Asked Dr. Morton. I definitely want our kids to be physically safe and protected from harm. So if this is true, why aren't you doing anything about the explosive device that was taken out, protection taken out from earmarked money? Why aren't you acting on that, Dr. Morton? Mr. Greenbaum, why don't you bring this up in subcommittee? Next up, what about the PTA report for bus, auto, and pedestrian safety coming into the school? Where's that report? Whatever happened to that? Remember? A student almost died. April 2023. Almost died because of you. You guys, your failures. Next up, exterior security. We don't have any fence around the school. We don't even have signs what time to be at the school. We can't even put up signs. We have $300 million and we don't have any signs and we don't have any fence to keep trespassers out. Doesn't make any sense. Can you do anything about that, Mr. Greenball? Can you ask to put signs around the school to beware to keep people away? Pretty simple to put signs up. Maybe we should put a fence too, huh? What about the internal of the building from an active shooter? April 2020, sent to Dr. Morton as principal at West. All my concerns about the internal weaknesses of our schools, and these are all 19 schools. We have $300 million. You're not doing anything with it. You're not doing anything to protect our schools. You are failing, Dr. Morton. You are failing, Mr. Greenbaugh. You have a chance to do something right. To at least start it, it's going to take a year or two just to start the internal strength of it. Why are we waiting 3 years to internally strengthen our schools?
Thank you, Mr. Short. We will go online. No hands are raised. Back to the room. Anyone would like to speak? Microphone is all yours.
Hi, Jess Fingerman, Cherry Hill, New Jersey. Just a couple of quick points. Point number one, going back to the
Mrs. Fingerman, just a little closer to the mic. That's all.
apologies. Is that better now?
Yep.
Hi, Jess Fingerman, Cherry Hill, New Jersey. Just a couple of quick points. Point number one about the communication. For example, on the website, just to echo what Mrs. Einhorn said, if you go to Board of Education and then meeting dates, there's no meeting dates there. So just something simple that could be easily rectified would just make things a lot more clearer for our community. Second thing that I had a question about, I was just looking over the agenda, and there's often very large amounts of money for certain students who are, not identified, which is completely appropriate. And they'll be out of district placements to go to Yale or Bancroft or whatever have you. And it'll be $50,000, $60,000, $70,000, $80,000. And if that's what's needed to provide them a free and appropriate public education, that's what's needed. But my question was, is that ever checked? Does anybody ever look at what these private providers are providing and whether or not the services are being delivered, and if they need to be as expensive as they are? And perhaps they are, and you guys in budget and finance committees will, get all of those itemized bills. But as taxpayers, we don't see those itemizations. So we just see the total amounts. And of course, compared to other students who are in district, you're talking about many multiples of what it would cost for a typical student in district. So I just wanted to see if anybody's looking at that. That's it. Thank you so much.
Thank you. We do have a hand online, a familiar hand from a wider bridge. You're up.
Alana Yaris, Cherry Hill. I was just calling in to state that I know when reading the agenda for the January reorg meeting, all the dates for the board meetings for the full year are posted and approved by the new Board of Education at the reorg meeting. But sometimes extra additional meetings are added, and there's nothing on the calendar after June 30th, 2024 for this year. So if an additional meeting is added or a meeting is changed, it's hard to know that because it looks like there's nothing happening July 1st and onward. Second, I currently have a rising second year preschool student at Malberg who's in a self-contained classroom. I live and am zoned for Kilmer Elementary School. And if he continues on the path he is on, he will probably be in a self-contained class for kindergarten. There are none at Kilmer. I spent a lot of time at Kilmer. I want all of my children to go to Kilmer. If the part of the strategic plan could be to look at how we can get special education classes at all of the elementary schools. Currently, Kilmer and Barton are the largest two elementary schools and do not have any special education programs. I know that not every program can be at every elementary school, but the fact that the two farthest west elementary schools don't have any programs at all is a problem, especially when your sending zones are all the way as far out as Merchantville. If there are students who live near Merchantville who have special ed services that are needed, they can't go to their home school at Kilmer or Barton. So the closest schools they could potentially go to are Payne, Kingston, Arc, oftentimes overcrowded and filled as well. So then you're busing kids from the far west side of town all the way to the east side of town. And it's unacceptable. And please look at it for strategic planning purposes so that my kid and future kids with special ed services can get the services they need as close as possible to home. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Yaris. Returning back to the room. Anyone else wish to speak? Come on up.
Laurie Neary, Cherry Hill. First and foremost, I'd like to congratulate Carol Roscoff. I also wanted to mention with regard to a bit of what Ms. Yaris was stating. I know there was Speak of the Lewis building at the last meeting, so I'm hopeful you'll be looking at elementary redistricting and then beyond expanding to additional buildings, but underutilized buildings, as I know some of our other elementary schools on the other side. And I know that's not always exciting for some folks if they're going to be pushed out of their local school, but I do understand the need to appropriately utilize buildings and services where we can. And I just want to note, I know it's not fun. I've been on that side of the table when folks are not always kinder, and I've been one of those parents, I'll just say passionate at the microphone. I know it's not fun. I know it's tough, but I do appreciate the job that's being done. I've been there. And I know it's a tough, long, hot week, but thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Neary. There are no hands online. This is your last chance to be famous for 3 minutes in the room. Seeing no one taking that opportunity, we will close our second public comment for the night and move to the superintendent's comments. Dr. Morton.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd also like to echo the sentiments heard this evening about Carol Roscoff. Congratulations to you, Carol Roscoff. Definitely looking forward to this new chapter, this new opportunity to work together. We worked together for a very long time now, and I don't know if there's anybody in this town who loves Cherry Hill as much as Carol Roscoff, as much as you do. So definitely looking forward to that love being spread throughout this entire town. The appointment of Carol Roscoff also is the final piece in the reorganization plan as well. The administrative reorganizational plan that we started some months ago. Difficult to explain every piece of things, but things fall into place at a certain point. And I'm definitely excited about the team for moving forward. I think we're situated in a way to allow us to maximize our productivity and allow us to truly make progress and move forward in a positive way for the district. So monumental thing happened. We didn't talk about it this evening, but the approval of the sidebar agreement, CHEA sidebar agreement. See Steve Redfern sitting here. I want to thank the board. No, it's all good. We'll get out of here before 8. But I want to just express, what this board has done this evening by approving the sidebar agreement. It's monumental. CHEA is currently not in negotiations right now, but the board recognized a need to adjust our salary scale. Number one, so we talked about staff wellness and rewarding our teachers appropriately, but number two, is making Cherry Hill Public Schools more attractive for candidates that are new to this district. And what that does ultimately is allows us to attract the best candidates and provide the best teachers possible for our children and the children that we serve. So kudos to this Board of Education for that. Remarkable, simply remarkable that you've seen it fit to make this adjustment right now. Just a reference to our preschool model. The preschool model itself is a hybrid model. So we actually aren't looking to necessarily build classrooms or build schools, but we are looking to partner with existing preschool providers and early childhood providers. And that hybrid model allows us to seek the classrooms and identify the classrooms that are necessary. There's a question about out-of-district placements and follow-up that takes place. So just to let you know, the child study teams across the district do visit placements and reviews them each year as part of the annual review process. There's information available on NJDOE website about approved private schools for our students with disabilities as well. I'd like to also just speak about the cell phone policy that was approved this evening. That is the culmination of many months of work and many, many conversations, surveys, input from community members. It began with the conversation through our parents in our community, and it was brought up through Zone PTA. But our Board of Education jumped on that conversation. CHEA obviously was involved, community administrators, students, a tremendous amount of feedback. And we went through different incarnations that included the most restrictive possibilities to, a moderately restrictive, I guess, possibility. But what we did hear from the survey that we had given out was that 85% of the people that we surveyed, the thousands that were surveyed, all agreed that something needed to be done. Something absolutely needed to be done to mitigate just the unfiltered use of cell phones and their negative impact on students in the classroom. So thank you to all who took part in that effort. Thank you to our board as well for the collaboration and the approval of that policy. And with that, I'll say good night. We have 2 minutes before 8 o'clock.
Thank you, Dr. Morton. That will conclude our meeting for this evening. I would like to take at least a little bit of credit for getting us out before 8 o'clock. Just a little bit. I'll just remind everybody that tomorrow Cherry Hill will pass through the sun's corona once again. So stay safe, stay cool, stay inside if you can. With that, do I have a motion to adjourn tonight's meeting? Mrs. Winters. All in favor? Lots of hands. Motion carries. We're out of here.